Gosh darn it, Aaron, you have to live stream at the exact same time I do. EKC, people suck. I am sorry. Christine, yes. I'm not surprised he won't take accountability for his actions either, but it seems like he's gone pretty far as I'm concerned, to try and justify what he's done. So we're going to talk about that. If you don't know who I am, I'm Suzanne Titkemeyer. I used to write for Patheos, a column called No Longer Quivering. I wrote that and about the Duggars and other topics, evangelicalism for almost 10 years. Do the YouTube things, please. These are just my opinions. Don't bully anybody. I'm not telling you to bully anybody or spend any hate. Don't do it. Don't do it. Not even to crazy ass Michelle Sabate. Leave that poor child alone. Um, okay. So I have to update about Michelle real quick since I was talking about her. Oh, they are. You just don't even know, Christine. We were supposed to do a border run today. That didn't happen. I was just too freaking ill for that, and my husband was too. So we had to kick that down till next week, maybe, and go from there. Um, so hey, Kentucky girl. Um, hey Grace, on your way to work? Well, I just wanted to say Michelle Sabate apparently had court this morning and is bragging how she's going to seduce the judge, if you can believe that. Yesterday, I was speculating on what her criminal history was. Somebody is claiming that she's had a pile of DUIs and a pile of other stuff. Buenas tardes, from Oregon. Today is gray and rainy, but not too cool. Hey, at least you're not buried in snow. It's the 90s here today, so we're getting quite a bit of heat and humidity. So I'm trying to plan re-going for the border run first thing in the morning, maybe tomorrow or Sunday. They say Sunday is the slowest day there. Okay, so let's talk about Josh now that I've thrown that out of the way about Michelle Sabate not having her driver's license at all and had to go to court today. She had 3 outstanding warrants for non-appearance, was my understanding. And she's got probably DUIs and other arrests, apparently. So let's forget about Michelle for a minute. I want to talk about Josh Duggar. A couple days ago, Josh Duggar's legal team filed to overturn his conviction yet again. They filed an appeal. And it is one of the craziest ass appeals I've heard in a long time. Josh is still trying to say that Caleb Williams is the doer. He tried to say that his human rights were violated because Caleb Williams did it, according to him. I don't think Caleb did it. Caleb, if you've forgotten, is a registered S, not offender, but predator. His case involved a young woman he was supposedly in courtship with that he gave a baby to. So there's that. She was a lot younger than him, and that's the only offense of his that is on the record. So he's not running around downloading CP, I don't think. But Josh is trying to say he is. You have to notice that Josh hired a whole pile of guys with SA convictions in his dealership. What's interesting to me about Caleb Williams is Caleb was not even there on the days that they've proven that this was downloaded. It is crazy, isn't it, Kentucky girl? I just can't understand what he thinks. Let me look up. The other thing he was complaining about the way the agents treated him when they raided his car lot in November of 2019. He says because the way they treated him, that his rights were violated, he should be let go from prison and granted a new trial. Why are they saying that his rights were violated? Well, because one, he was not able to accuse Caleb of this thing. The other thing that was pretty crazy that I saw talking about was they wouldn't let him call his lawyer or leave the car lot when they were doing the raid. Here's the thing. He really liked to flog a dead horse, yes. Here's the thing. Now, I've never had the cops, granted, I've never had the cops raid my house or look through anything I've been doing ever. But a lifetime of looking at true crime tells me that if they're raiding your place of business, they're not going to let any employees go. They're going to make everybody stay there while they're raiding it, while they're doing the search, because the search warrants are going to be very specific. They're going to outline anything they're looking for that proves their case. So if they let people just breeze in and out of search areas, things can be tampered with, they can be removed, all sorts of things. So of course they're not going to let him go. They treated him no differently than they treat most people who are the target of criminal probe. They didn't let him call his lawyer. He wasn't charged. He didn't have to say anything to them. All he had to do was say, I am not speaking without the presence of my attorney. That was all he would have had to say. And they couldn't have questioned him about anything while they were searching. But because Josh and his parents like to prove that he is special, he thinks that rules don't apply for him at all. He thinks he should have been allowed to leave. He was mad because he didn't have a car at a car lot. I don't know why he couldn't have taken one of the cars if he really wanted to leave that badly, but I don't think they were going to let him leave at all. He claims he was, they said he was free to leave, but he said he could not leave. I guess it was too much for him to walk out. He said he was blindsided in a rural area surrounded by armed agents wearing ballistic vests, and he didn't have access to a vehicle in a car lot full of vehicles. So I don't think that this is going to work. I think they're going to treat this like they have all the other attempts he's had to overturn his conviction. I think they're going to just say, no, there's no merit to this thing. Quotation. He would have effectively had to walk on the shoulder of a rural highway to leave the police dominated environment, quote unquote. And the other quote that I laughed over was, the government clings to the notion that Duggar was allegedly told he was free to leave, even though the government is silent about the inconvenient fact that he had no means to leave in the middle of a car lot where he owned the actual cars. I'm not buying it. He could have called a lawyer on a different phone. They seized his cell phone so he couldn't activate some kind of erasing program. Yeah, I believe that. And we know that the lot had a phone, so he could have called out on that. There's many ways he could have called out. But they're not obligated to let him talk to his attorney while search is ongoing, I don't think. The government also contends Duggar was not restrained, but restraint is about more than being handcuffed. Duggar was placed in a police vehicle with two armed agents. He was told his attorney could not join him after he attempted to call counsel and he had no access to a vehicle. Dude, it sucks to be you. It sucks to have those kind of problems, but you cannot demand access to a vehicle, an attorney, or anything while they're searching your place of business. The best thing is just to shut the up and sit back and shut the up. What did the reprobate do? He's trying to claim yet again that Caleb Williams did it, number one. That's his defense. It's been his defense from day one, is that Caleb did it. There's nothing to indicate that Caleb Williams was even there when that happened. I thought it was proven during the trial that Caleb was not there when those things were downloaded. He worked for Josh for a very short, limited amount of time. And yeah, no one's buying this stuff. Well, now he's trying to say because he didn't have a vehicle to leave in, and they didn't have his attorney, wouldn't let him have call his attorney while they were searching. Well, they served the search warrant and started searching the dealership. He is claiming that his rights were violated, if you can believe that. And instead of what it actually is, which is you sit back and don't say a word to them and let them carry out their legal search with the paperwork at the car lot he owned. Yes, claiming to have a vehicle at the car lot he owned when he could have picked up the keys and hauled his biscuits out of there at any point. And I mean, in any car. But it's my understanding, most of the time when there's a search warrant, that whoever is there has to sit by while they do the search. None of that warrant had anything to do with the vehicles, to my knowledge. And bro had to shoot off at the mouth. Remain silent, dumbass. Exactly. You do not talk to the cops. Guilty, innocent, whatever. You just don't do that until you've consulted with your attorney. I guess his sister's rights weren't violated. I guess they weren't. At least in his opinion. And we all know what he is like. He decides that he is all that bag of potato chips, and he has to have all these special privileges. Not going to work this time, buddy. Not going to work. I'm kind of hoping they make him serve every day. That he's such a problematic person in prison that they make him serve every single day. Even though I know that's unrealistic. I don't see this overturning the conviction. He's trying to claim that he was restrained because he had no vehicle. This court should conclude that any reasonable person in Duggar's position would have felt deprived of his freedom of action in any significant way. You just don't do that crap. Says also they told him his attorney could not come on the scene. They took pot shots at the man who did the technology testimony, James Fottrell, was never qualified to offer this critical testimony in the first place. He lacks any expertise concerning geolocation technology used. But the entire argument for the new trial focuses on Caleb Williams. And Josh is claiming he has evidence that Caleb could have been the one at the computer accessing the CSAM. Caleb is able to prove he wasn't even in the state of Arkansas when these things happened. So I think he's got a pretty solid case. Exactly. He was not restrained there. He could have left. He could have walked off. He could have taken one of the other cars. He could have stepped away from the lot and met with his attorney on the side of the road. Exactly. But there's something about his deeply held religious beliefs about culpability. Giving false witness. There is, but reading, we know this is a guy that lies routinely, lies and hides and the whole 9 yards. Josh Duggar needs to drop the BS and take responsibility for accessing the CSAM. If I were the judge, I would laugh at these arguments. Absolutely. And I don't think it's going to serve him well. I don't think they're going to overturn his conviction and grant him this. He can't keep saying that Caleb Williams was the doer if Caleb wasn't even in the state when this happened. Josh could have told the agents he wasn't going to talk to him until his lawyer is present. That is actually the correct response. If you are ever in that situation, there's nothing wrong, even if you've done nothing wrong, with saying, hey, I'm not speaking to you until I have a chance to confer with my attorney. There's nothing wrong with saying that. It's perfectly fine. But apparently he didn't take that. And he did ask them if they were there for the CSA. And that is a tip off that somebody knows more than what they're saying. So Josh is, as usual, filled with fail. And I lay this all directly at the feet of Michelle and Jim Bob Duggar. We all know in fundamentalist evangelical quiverful that boys, especially the oldest boy, are given a free pass. They're allowed to do whatever because they're the hope for the future. So these guys get away with a lot of stuff. I mean, look at the Williams brothers. They got away with a lot of stuff before they got caught. Sounds like there was no error made by the trial court. Appeals court is looking for error in the trial court. Defense is attempting to introduce new evidence after the evidentiary proceeding is concluded. Quickest way to piss off an appeals court. Yep. And this is Josh, like I said, the golden boy of the Duggar household that the parents have gone way out of their way to protect and to put him up on a pedestal and pretend he's all that, a bag of potato chips and everything else. And we know that that's not going to work. There was no impropriety as far as I can see in his trial. Of course, I'm not a judge. I wasn't on the jury, and I'm not a lawyer. But it looks like this is going to be it for him. I predict every couple of months he's going to try to overturn this in the dumbest ways possible, and then we're going to see some lawsuits. I think he's going to sue a pile of people in the aftermath of this in civil court. And it should be interesting to see who that is. And I think at some point we may see that tell-all book from Josh. And it's going to be self-serving and filled with ridiculousness. Again, Duggars, whichever one of the Duggars children writes the first tell-all book, that is the person that's going to get the big payday. Everybody else doing it is not. Now I'm looking forward to Ginger's book. I pre-ordered it. I'm supposed to get a downloaded copy. I should have probably already, but like I said last time, I've had crazy going on in my life. And it looks like I've got crazy going on until about late January. I will try to read it when I'm away on my trip to Louisiana. Those poor girls. You know, if they had just appropriately punished Josh and put him in therapy, especially after what happened with his sisters, we wouldn't even be here by now, usually. Jim Bob better have his checkbook ready for the lawyer's fee. It's going to be quite expensive. Don't think Josh will write the book. It would require he take responsibility unless he ignores the whole sex predator thing. I think that if he does, he's going to write one where he talks about how he was framed, that he didn't do any of those things, and that he was framed by Caleb Williams or someone else. And I'm hoping he does that because Caleb Williams is not a public figure. And if you go after a public figure in certain states, it's protected. Not every state, as we well know, Katie Joy, but in some states it is. I don't think that any publisher would touch that with a 10-foot pole. That could be too. Most publishers are not going to want that, even if they know they would sell a zillion copies. The thing is, I think that he's pissed off enough people worldwide where the book wouldn't sell. It would just be ridiculous. I was hoping that Derek was going to be the one to write it, but now with his legal career, I doubt he has the time to do so. I doubt it altogether. So the optics would be awful and it wouldn't sell. Exactly. And it would just be a self-serving pile of crap without one bit of reality in it, which a lot of celebrity books are that. But most of them don't have a person that is that, I don't want to say awful, but that without redeeming anything, most of them. He's narky enough that he might self-publish an Amazon rag. Yeah, he might. He might. He may well do so. And heaven help us all if he does, because it's gonna be, you know what, a pile of you know what. I'm not sure what his educational level is. He was homeschooled his entire life, and I've never been impressed by the ATI IBLP booklets because they're filled with lots of lies and bad science. I mean, all you have to do is look at the science ones about bruxism and some of the other things they say about sheep, and you're like, not true at all. So with an educational level like that, I don't anticipate we're going to see much of anything. But I think the point will come where he will blame his parents for all of this, where he actually should blame, because that's where a lot of this stuff all started, was how his parents raised him. They raised him to be king of the hill and excused every bad, awful thing he did. I'm sure it would require a ghostwriter. I'm not sure he has the, well, I was going to say, I'm not sure he has the money to do that, but he might. He might. Oh, so it is a cloudy afternoon here in Tamarindo, and I am going to go lay down. This has been a hell of a bad day as far as physical and allergies, and I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to roll with it, doing laundry. Okay, you guys, I am going to go. I just wanted to rant on this because I was so furious. I kept reading everybody else's takes on this and watching a few people and thinking, is he high or is he just insane? Is he believing his own press? Why does he think Caleb Williams is going to fall on his sword for Josh? He can't prove that Caleb was even in the state then. Oh, well, it's Josh. He's kind of special. Love you guys. I'll see you later.